take 2 tees, put one underneath your left armpit, one underneath your right armpit, and simply keep them under. So when I make a backswing and I keep these in, if I had too much lift without the in part, those tees should fall out. If I have sufficient depth, these tees should stay in. So here's my setup. I'm gonna keep those tees in, and what that does is it feels like my upper part of my biceps, I feel like they're glued more to my pecs or my chest or the side of my body, and that should help me hit those checkpoints. Hands over my shoes, right pec bicep, and then to the right of my shoulder. Let's go ahead and do one with this here. So tees under the armpits, keep them squeezed in during the backswing. That'll help with more depth, less lift. Yeah, that's the best one I hit all week. I should probably keep doing a little bit more of that myself. Hey guys, Eric here out at the Don Law Golf Academy at beautiful Osprey Point Golf Club in Boca Raton, Florida. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to make the perfect backswing, in particular the hand path and depth during the backswing. We're going to dig into that, show you some checkpoints, drills you can do both at home and at the golf course. Before we dive in, if you guys do like this video as you're watching, would love if you could click that gray thumbs up, that like button down below. It really helps us out. Click the subscribe button if you haven't, and leave a comment down below. We'd love to continue the conversation with you beyond these videos. Also, would love for you to check out CogornoGolf.com. That's where you and I can work together. We can help put a specific practice plan together, a specific game improvement plan for you. You can send in your swings. We build you that specific plan, exactly what drills to do, how many reps to do, what days a week. It's really detail oriented, and we're there to guide you through the whole entire way. You ask as many questions as you want. We got an awesome team, equally as effective as in-person coach. You get all the drills you need, the feels. We help you help guide you through it. Like I mentioned, we'd love to work with you at CogornoGolf.com. We'll put that down below. So backswing, hand path. Now, the first thing I want to talk about during the backswing, and we're going to specifically look at how the hands and arms work. There's 2 main movements that the arms and hands need to do during the backswing, and that is they need to lift some amount or work up, which we'll look at, and they need to work in some amount. So if I look at my setup position, I've just got a 7-iron here, and I look at where my hands and arms are at my setup position. Let's see where that is here to start with. And I'm going to show you how they move on the way back, what the most common problems are, and how we're going to look to fix those. So if I take my setup position, the first thing I want you to notice is how far in my arm is. So if I let my arm hang straight down, that would go basically over my left foot or left shoe. That's like 0 in, right? That's just straight down in front of me. Now, my setup position, my hands aren't there. They're not that far forward. My arm's already in some amount, right? So my hands are inside my left thigh. So my hands and arms are in, we'll call that 10 degrees, just to keep this simple. Now, if I kept that 10-degree in arm and I made my backswing turn and tilt like normal, that, if I just went straight up, would not provide me with enough in motion. The in motion that we're going to see has 3 good checkpoints I want you to use. The first one is when the club's parallel to the ground, and I would like to see the hands work basically over the middle part of the foot. Then when the arm's parallel to the ground, we're going to see the hands in line with the right pec or right bicep. And then at the top, we're going to see the hands to the right of the shoulder. So if I drew a line at my shoulder, the hands are to the right of them. So proper depth of your hands is middle of the foot, right pec, right bicep, outside right shoulder. Again, if I took my setup I just addressed and I put it in where it is from straight down to in 10 degrees, and I made my normal backswing, that doesn't get my hands to the right of my shoulder. What does that mean? That means my arms and hands need to work around me or behind me some during my backswing, from this 10-degree mark to the point where I get back to my right shoulder. So that's one thing I want you to understand. Your arm from here at setup, if we look at where it is to the top of your backswing, is probably needs to go all the way over to your right foot. That'd be a good marker. So here's my left arm at setup, here's straight down, here's where I start, so it's in about 10 degrees. I probably need to get my arm about to the point where my hands are in line with my right foot. That's about how far across me my arm needs to go. Now, if I took that up to the top, that would give me proper depth. Again, that means my hands need to go some amount in. I'd like that in motion to happen progressively. So here I am at setup. My hands are going to go from my setup position straight back or slightly in right off the bat, and then slightly more in, and then slightly more in. So I'm not setting them in and then forgetting it. I'm not having them out and then go in. I'm going to progressively do it. Of course, there's different models of players who some go out and then around, some go in and then up. There's different ways, but to keep it simple as a stock model, progressively in and up the whole time. Now the second part is the lift. So here again is my arm at setup. My arm's down over my left leg and in. Now if I took my arm here and I just made a backswing with my normal body motions, that clearly doesn't look like a normal backswing. It's way too low. So what does that mean? That means my arm needs to lift quite a bit. How much lift? Well, if I took my setup with my hands down here, I would say your hands and arms need to lift about up to shoulder height. So that's about the amount of lifting you're gonna get with your arms during the backswing. Shoulder flexion extension. My arm's gonna lift to about shoulder height. Now, if I take that and I go to about shoulder height, that's about how high my backswing is. I make my backswing with turn and tilt, that would be about normal. What I need to do is blend those two motions. My arm going up about that much, and going in about this much to my right leg. And if I do those two motions together, those specific amounts, I get about a 45-degree angle. So my hand would go up and to the right about past my right shoulder. That's about the arm motion during the backswing, this way. Now if I take that and I turn with it, that would be my normal backswing. So that's really the point I wanted to get across, is up that about that much up to my shoulder, in to my right leg, and then I'm blending those two together. And specifically, I'm blending them to the point where I get through those checkpoints. So how do I know if I'm in enough, Eric? Well, where is it at first parallel? The club head should be about in line with your hands. Hand should be inside your toe line over your foot. That would be a good stock position. Again, some players more out, but let's just call it here to be simple. How do I know I'm in from there? Well, if I drew a circle from here and then went to right pec, right bicep, that'd be in enough. Again, my arm has come across me some and lifted some. And then from there to the top, the hands go up and in more. My arm is lifted and gone in some more to the point where I get to the top of the backswing. So I'm blending the lift and the in. I'm hitting those stock checkpoints. Now, what I see all the time, even though there's more lift than in, right? If we look at those amounts, my arm had to go up several feet. I only had to go to the right a little bit. So it definitely needs to lift more than it goes in, yet I see all the time, the main issue here is the players get the lift motion, but we don't get the in motion. So specifically what I want to show you is my two favorite drills, how you can get more of the in motion during the backswing. Okay, so the first drill that I like to get the in motion, again, assuming you have the lift part okay. How do you know if you have the lift part okay? If the butt of the club at the top of your swing is in line with the middle part of your head or slightly above that, that'd be about sufficient lift. If it's below that, you might want to have a little bit more lift. But having the lead arm about on the shoulder plane during the backswing with the butt of the club, even with the middle of the head or slightly up, would be sufficient. Let's assume you've got the lift, but you don't have the in part. You've got too much of the up part. Now, before I show you this drill, I'm going to show you how to use two tees here. Why does that even matter? The main issue with going too far up is from this position where I'm here, I need to shallow out the club somehow. And if I do any kind of good pivot, good body rotation, my arms, hands, and club are going to be too far out in front of me. Shaft too steep, arms too far out, which is always going to require some form of early extension, late shallowing, contact issues, inconsistency. What you see, good, and again, there's some players who go up, they reroute it, right? They have a lot of side bend, they make it work, but most players too steep from there. I want to have the depth part going back to make it a lot easier to deliver the club from inside during the downswing. So one simple way would be just to take two tees. And some of you have seen a towel drill before, that can work for this. The purpose of this drill is to get the in. You've got the upper, let's get the in. So you take two tees, put one underneath your left armpit, one underneath your right armpit, and simply keep them under. So when I make a backswing and I keep these in, if I had too much lift without the in part, those tees should fall out. If I have sufficient in, sufficient depth, these tees should stay in. So here's my setup. I'm going to keep those tees in. And what that does is it feels like my upper part of my biceps, feel like they're glued more to my pecs or my chest or the side of my body. And that should help me hit those checkpoints. Hands over my shoes, right pec bicep, and then to the right of my shoulder. Let's go ahead and do one with this here. So tees under the armpits, keep them squeezed in during the backswing. That'll help with more depth, less lift. Yeah, that's the best one I hit all week. I should probably keep doing a little bit more of that myself. Now, let's say you're a player who has too much depth and you need a little bit more lift, right? How would you know you're that player? Well, you would be the player where the lead arm gets too far under the shoulder plane, right? It doesn't lift enough. So if you're top of backswing, your butt of the club's like below your head or chin, for example, and your arm's way low underneath here, you need more lift. I would do the same drill, but just reverse what you're trying to do. So put the tees in, but then let them fall out during the backswing, or at least feel like they fall. They might not fall out. You might have some sweat underneath there, keeps them in like me, but you might, if you feel like they fall out. So during the backswing, I would do my takeaway normal, so still hands over the foot toe line. Now from here, feel like they fall out and your arms and hands are going a little bit more up. That's what you would feel. There, I got one of them out. That's what I would feel if I wanted more lift. But for most of you, you need more depth. Tees under. Let's talk about the second drill. Okay, second drill for more depth during the backswing. This one's more for where the arm goes. I've got a stick on the ground. You could use a stick or a club. This again designed for more depth during the backswing. If I look straight forward here, and this is 12 o'clock, I've got 1, 2, 3 o'clock's my toe line. 4 o'clock would be where I have the stick at. I would like you, from your point of view, you could keep tees in for this as well when you're doing it, or take them out. I want you to feel as though, and I would get the front of the stick kind of even with the outside part of your foot, and then again it's angled at about 4 o'clock, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. I would like your lead arm from your perspective to feel like it goes over that 4 going back, and really I'd like it to stay like it feels over that 4 on the way down. So you get a visual of this arm going from straight down to the point where it goes across, where your hands align with your right foot. You should feel your left bicep pushing against your pec a little bit when you do this. So this would be option 2, with or without the tees. Arm goes over the stick during the backswing. If you lift too much, this would be you feeling more in on the way back. Yeah, and that one also feels really good for me. So I would do these two. I'd start with the tees in, I'd put this down, record myself from down the line, and check on video using something like Live View and see where my hands are over my shoes, where it is here at left arm parallel, and where it is at the top. You want your hands over the middle of your foot, hands in line with the right pec, right bicep, right of the shoulder. That will give you enough depth. If you need the lift part, you can add that piece in. The goal of this is so that you can get the club working down from inside, get all the things you want good without any compensations. That's how you make the perfect backswing with the hand path, getting depth to the top. If you guys liked this video, we did an awesome video with Ben Pelicani last year. We're gonna link that video, very similar to this, but he's got a couple other really cool drills that can help you. If you wanna check out Cogorno Golf, get a specific plan, what drills to do, what reps, how to feel it, have us work with you. We'll put Cogorno Golf on the screen. We'd love to see you there.